In a world where ordinary gifts conceal extraordinary powers, one family's fate is about to unravel, thread by thread, guided by the hands of time, craft, and something not quite of this world. Once upon a time, in a small town wrapped in simplicity, lived a humble tailor. His world was no bigger than his little shop and his 3 half-grown sons who worked alongside him, cutting cloth, threading needles, and sometimes just being mischievous. One day the tailor thought, why not add a drop of sweetness to our simple life? So off to the market he went, returning with a pretty milk-giving goat. The plan was simple. Each day, one of his sons would take the goat out to graze and bring her back at sunset. But that was before the goat found her tongue. The eldest took the first turn. He led the goat to lush grasslands, let her graze till her belly was full. At sunset, he asked, "Goat, are you full?" The goat replied sweetly, "Yes, not even a leaf more can fit in my belly." Relieved, the boy led her home. When father asked, he beamed, "Stuffed to the horns." But the tailor, suspicious, crept to the stable and asked the goat himself. And the goat, with feigned sorrow, bleated, "What grass? I saw nothing but dust and stones." Anger flared. Without a word, the tailor reached for his measuring stick, and out the eldest son went. Next day, the middle son took charge. The father warned him, "Don't end up like your brother." The boy led the goat to thick, juicy patches of grass. At dusk, she burped satisfaction. "So full I'm turning green," he said. But again, when the tailor asked the goat, she whined, "They tied me to a bare wall all day." Strike 2. Out went the second son, just like the first. The youngest was the last hope. The tailor, desperate, said, "Please, at least you be kind to this poor goat." He led her to the greenest fields, where the grass danced in the breeze. The goat grazed until she was more than full. At sunset, she nodded lazily. "No more grass, please, but in the stable, same tale. I've seen nothing but dry stones and bitter wind." The third son, like the others, was cast out. Now only the tailor and the goat remained. He said through clenched teeth, "Tomorrow I'll take you myself." He found the finest pasture, greener than dreams. The goat feasted until her knees shook. At home again, he asked, and again the goat lied. That moment the truth hit like lightning. All this time it wasn't his sons, it was the goat. The tailor trembled, not with sorrow but with rage. Next morning the tailor brought water and soaked the goat. Then came the blade. He shaved her bald, smooth like marble. Then the whip. He lashed out not in cruelty but in justice. The goat shrieked, scrambled, and with one final jolt snapped the tether and vanished into the unknown, never to be seen again. The children had gone, and so had the goat. The tailor remained, alone in a house soaked with silence. His shop stood weary, his home dim. From morning till dusk, he muttered to himself at the shop, and by night he curled up in a corner, haunted by memories of the past and a future that had never come. The eldest son left home. He journeyed to a distant city and became an apprentice to a master coppersmith. With discipline and grace, he learned the craft, hammer by hammer, flame by flame, until one day he stood before the master and said, "Master, my heart longs for home. May I take my leave?" The old master, pleased with his student, replied, "Go with God, my boy, take this pot and ladle, they are yours. But remember, they are no ordinary tools. If the ladle touched the pot and obeyed the command, food would pour forth, enough to feed an army. Plates filled themselves, and once emptied, they would fill again. Magic? Perhaps, but for a boy who once chased crumbs, this was salvation." On his journey home, the boy arrived at a bustling caravanserai. Travelers bustled about with their pots and pans, but he sat quietly in a corner, placing the pot and ladle before him. When offered supper, he replied, "I'm not hungry, but I can feed you all." They gathered around, curious. He struck the ladle to the pot, and the miracle began. word of the magic pot spread and reached the ears of the caravanserai keeper. That night, while all slept, he crept in silence, stole the pot and ladle, and left lifeless copies in their place. The son returned. His father held him tight. Tears of joy welled in the old man's eyes. "I've brought a gift," the son said, "one worth more than the world itself." The father beamed with pride. "Then let's invite the whole family," he said. "Show me tomorrow." Noon came. The table was set. Everyone gathered. With pride, the son raised the ladle, struck the pot, and gave the command. Nothing. Again he tried. Still nothing. Laughter echoed through the room. But in the boy's heart something shattered. He understood. He remembered the strange quiet of that night at the caravanserai, a silence that perhaps had whispered betrayal. The second son left his father too, and found work as an apprentice to a miller. He was respectful, hard-working, and kind. In time, he said to the miller, "Master, I miss my father. May I return to visit him?" The miller, pleased with the boy's sincerity, replied, "You've served me well. Take this donkey with you, but beware, do not ride it, do not load it." The boy frowned. "A donkey, what good is that to me?" The miller smiled. "Ah, but this is no ordinary donkey." He leaned in closer. "Spread a cloth on the ground. Bring the donkey to its center. Then raise your right hand and say 3 times, 'Achi machi latachi.'" The boy blinked. "Then what?" The miller whispered. "The donkey will bray and gold will pour forth." The boy stared, wide-eyed. "A donkey that gives gold, what is this, a mint on 4 legs?" The miller chuckled. "I don't know how, but it works." Joyful and grateful, the boy kissed the miller's hand and set off toward his village. But fate had other plans. Once again, he stopped at the same old caravanserai, the one that had seen too many stories. He tied the donkey near his side, sat among the travelers and waited for supper. When it came, he offered generously, "Please, anything you want, I'll treat." Before anyone could reply, he called to the innkeeper, "Bring us roasted chicken, sweet omelets, flatbread, and pastries." The innkeeper raised a brow. Who was this generous man? After supper, when all was calm and the stars whispered, the innkeeper asked for his payment. The boy smiled. "I'll wait right here, I'll get your gold." He led the donkey to a quiet corner, spread the cloth, said the words, and gold rained down. But he didn't see the innkeeper's eyes, watching from the shadows. That night, while all slept, the innkeeper crept in, swapped the magical donkey with a worthless twin, and disappeared. At dusk, the boy reached home. His father and brother embraced him with joy. "So tell me," his father said, "where have you been? What did you bring?" "I worked for a miller," he said, "and I brought a donkey unlike any other." "A donkey," his father chuckled. "You call that a gift?" But the boy insisted. "This one gives gold. Tomorrow invite everyone, I'll show you." The next day, relatives came curious and amused. In the center of the courtyard, the boy spread the cloth, brought forth the donkey, raised his hand and chanted, "Achi machi latarchi." Nothing. Again he tried. Still nothing. The crowd burst into laughter. His face turned pale. He remembered the peaceful night and realized the donkey had been switched. After being cast out by his father, the youngest son journeyed alone and found refuge in a distant city. There he apprenticed under a master woodworker, learning the fine, delicate art of wood turning. His dedication and patience far surpassed that of his older brothers, and over time he mastered the trade. When the longing for home grew too strong to ignore, he approached his master with respect and asked for permission to return to his father. The kind master, recognizing the boy's devotion, gifted him something remarkable, a small sack that contained not gold or food, but a wooden club. At first it seemed useless, but the master explained, This is no ordinary club. Whenever someone wrongs you or denies you justice, place your hand on the sack and say, "Will club come out?" And it shall strike until your enemy yields. On his journey home, he too passed through the notorious inn where his brothers had been deceived. Surrounded by travelers, he told tales of wondrous things, like a cooking pot that needed no fire, and a donkey that dropped gold. But then he said, "None are as powerful as what I carry here in this sack." That night, when all were asleep, the greedy innkeeper crept towards the boy, reaching for the sack. But the boy was only pretending to sleep. As the thief touched the sack, the boy whispered the words and the club sprang out, thrashing the scoundrel until he begged for mercy. The boy demanded the return of the pot, the donkey, and everything stolen from his brothers. By dawn, the boy reached home with all three treasures. His father welcomed him with joy, and his brothers rejoiced. When asked what he had brought, he smiled and said, "Just a simple club, but one that gave us everything." That day, the family held a grand feast. The pot fed the whole village, and the golden coins were shared among relatives, proving the tales were true after all. That night, as laughter still echoed in the house, the eldest son hesitantly asked, "Father, what became of that deceitful servant?" The father admitted with some shame that he had punished him, shaved his head, and chased him away. Embarrassed and unable to show his face, the liar had run into the wilderness and hidden in a fox's den. But the fox, frightened by glowing eyes in the dark, fled and brought a bear. Even the bear trembled. Then came a bee, small but fierce. She buzzed into the den, landed on the servant's bald head, and stung him so hard he ran screaming into the night, never to be seen again.